All right, to subtract these two radical expressions, the terms must have the same radical. Unfortunately, the first term has radical 50 and the second term has radical 2. So they're not the same, they're not alike. So therefore, you cannot subtract them. However, if you can simplify radical 50, okay? So you can get a term that's going to have radical 2 in it. All right. So how do you do that? Well, you're going to take 50 and you're going to think of two numbers that when you multiply makes 50, and one of them you can do the square root. So again, think of two numbers that when you multiply makes 50, and one of them you can do the square root. So I know 50 can be made by 25 times 2. Okay, and then 25 I can do the square root. All right, now by the product rule of radicals, I can write this radical here, this square root of 25 times 2. I can separate uh, the factors of this radical, so I can write it like this: 9 times radical 25 times radical 2. See, that's the product rule of radicals. If you have a multiplication, you're doing the square root of a multiplication. That's the same thing as doing the square root of the first number times the square root of the second number. And let me write the rest of the problem for radical 2. Now, if you look closely, square root of 25, you can do it. So what is the square root of 25? That is 5, okay? But there's a 9 outside. So that 5 is going to be multiplying the 9 that was already outside. So the square root of 25 is 5, and this 5 is going to multiply the 9. And then I write the rest of the problem times radical 2, then minus 4 radical 2. Now I multiply 9 times 5, that's 45. 45 times radical 2 is 45 radical 2. And then I can subtract 4 radical 2. And now the terms are alike because they have the same radical. Because they have the same radical, okay, now I can subtract the 45 minus the 4. What is 45 minus 4? That's going to be 41. And because you were subtracting radical 2's, okay, your answer is going to have a radical 2. And that's how you simplify that's how you subtract the expression 9 radical 5 minus 4 radical 2. You would do something similar if the problem was addition. Okay, I hope this helps.